There are just so many apartments. Like, so many. Like, take a look at this. You can see, even out in the distance there are so many buildings. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday. It certainly doesn't feel like Wednesday, and that's partially because 2 days were wrapped up into one because we crossed the international date line. But we are up and moving and getting ready for our first day in Shanghai. We just had some breakfast. We're staying at the Courtyard Shanghai, and dear God, the breakfast was great. Tomorrow I'll probably try and do a better job of getting like adequate footage of the available options on the breakfast buffet. I'd say that there were 150 plus items, and it was frickin' delicious. But it was a good way to start the day. I don't actually know everything we're doing today. I haven't spent a whole lot of time looking at the itinerary, and by not a lot of time, I mean none. So everything will be a bit of a surprise. Mao has glanced at it, but I haven't really looked at it. So we're gonna get started on the day. It's a little dreary. From what I understand, it's going to be a little rainy the entire time we're in Shanghai, but we'll survive, and hopefully we'll see some really awesome stuff. Our China adventure starts today. So we've begun our tour, and we quickly realized an issue. It's raining in Shanghai, well, drizzling, and it's apparently going to be drizzling for the next few days. And we don't have umbrellas, so we're going to have to do that soon. In the meantime, Mao has volunteered to hold her hooded sweatshirt above the camera until we can hopefully get to a convenience store. So we're with a tour group, and they're explaining things as we go. We're currently in Shanghai, and one of the interesting things about Shanghai is that it's old, but a lot of the city is actually pretty new. They were saying that like this side of the city, which is the east side of the city, has all got built up in like the last like 2 decades. So like everything you see is in like the last 20 years, which is crazy. There's been a huge explosion of growth in Shanghai. Shanghai also houses the tallest building in China, which is also the second tallest building in the world, and that's the Shanghai Center. And actually the clouds moved away, or the fog or whatever, so you can actually see the top of it. And there's another one next to it that looks like a bottle opener. That's cool. I forget the name, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that was what was most interesting to me, is that Shanghai, like, yeah, it has history. And what's interesting is like this is the east side, and if you turn around and you look at all the west side stuff, like there's clear like European architecture that dates back to older than 20 years ago. But a lot of the city is being built up, like the airport and everything. All of that is within the last 20 years. This side of the city is all within the last 20 years. So there's an explosion of growth here. And apparently if you want to live here, it's real expensive. So our next stop is the Jade Buddha Temple, named after this incredibly giant jade statue of Buddha, carved entirely out of one piece of white jade. But you couldn't take any photos of that part, so maybe there's like an image online I can show. The room that was in was incredible, and it was giant, it was ornate. There was actually, surrounding it was 666 smaller Buddhas. That number might be a bit alarming. In Western culture, that's associated with the devil or heavy metal music, but in Eastern cultures, it's good. So that's a number of Buddhas that they put around. Aside from that, everything else we could show. The temple's from, I think it was first opened up in 1886, and at this point, almost nothing is original. In fact, our tour guide was saying that most of the temple was rebuilt even in like the last 5 years. So this is a pretty recent change that they've had. But the temple itself is really beautiful. It is active, so there's monks around. You might see them in some of the saffron yellow robes, and yeah, it's a pretty cool place. we started our tour today at 9 a.m. and it's currently noon, and we're actually done. It's a pretty short day. This is one of those do things yourself type days. We have a walking tour that our guide is just doing himself, which we may join in for. It's a walking tour just kind of around the hotel to talk about various things, but then also to kind of point out some places to eat, which...
And then if you see one, you can just go. And
yeah, so it's kind of like a, hey, here's some recommendations. So we might do that because it's lunchtime and we need to figure out what we're doing for lunch. But after that, there's no other things?
There's a meeting at 5.
There's a meeting at 5. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
For
so it's kind of a short day. Today was short. The Jade Buddha Temple was really cool, but the highlight of it, you weren't allowed to shoot for whatever reason, so that was a little disappointing, but everything else was really interesting. But we'll probably join in on the walking tour and hopefully get some food at a place unknown here in the next 20 minutes.
So we came to this place called Baba. And they have dumplings, and I love dumplings a lot. And there's dumplings, and there's pork cutlet, and there's some sort of soup that's very thick, and has tofu and mushroom and some green thing, and egg. And Coke.
There we go. That meal, by the way, was just 33 won per person, which comes out to roughly $4.50. And I didn't show mine, but I had the exact same thing that Mao had. So we both ate for $9, which is pretty good considering that was a sizable amount of food, and the food was actually really good. You're also not expected to tip in China, not that we would have tipped in that style of restaurant in the West anyway. But yeah, food seems pretty cheap. From my limited time here and just walking into a few shops after we ate, it seems like the price of goods is roughly equivalent to the States. But food is cheaper. Food definitely seems less expensive, and that's good because we don't really need to buy goods while we're here, but we will need to eat. So now that we've had our lunch, we've come back to the hotel. We picked up an umbrella because it's clear that we're going to need that, at least while we're in Shanghai. It's been dreary and sad. And then we stopped at a Lawson's, which is a convenience store that they have in Japan also, and I picked up this. It's obviously Pepsi, but check it out. Salted caramel. Whenever we were in Japan back in April, they had just debuted a new Pepsi flavor. And I don't remember exactly what it was called, like dark or bold. And it was actually really good. It was like a very strong, overpowering cola flavor, which I'm sure some people wouldn't like. But I enjoyed. And it turns out that while we're in China, they have this new salted caramel flavor. You can definitely smell that it's a little different. Like it's Pepsi, but something is sweeter, or you can maybe smell the caramel a little bit. Ooh, that's nice. That's really nice. It's got a lot of salted caramel tones, and they come after that cola taste. I mean, you'd have to like salted caramel, but it's one of my favorite flavors, actually. So this is really nice. Mal, you have to try this too.
Yeah. That is really nice. It's not overpowering or anything.
The leopard print's a little weird. I don't know what that's about. When I think salted caramel, this is not what I think about, but okay, that's fine. The tour guide gave us a lot of really cool information, and I'm not going to be recording every little second of what they say. And I'm going to be doing my best to parrot that information back to you. But as a reminder, I am parroting this information over the course of the next 2 weeks. So if I get something wrong, just bear with me. It's probably not their fault. It's probably me just trying to remember something. You're always welcome to try and correct me or whatever in the comments. I like knowledge, so if we can share knowledge, that's a good thing. Because we visited a Buddhist temple today, they were talking a lot about religions in China. And they said that while there's not any concrete statistics on it, it seems that only about 10% of the population is particularly religious. That means someone that adheres to a religion and doesn't just go to shrines whenever something's wrong, like who are genuinely religious. The primary religions being Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, particularly Catholicism, and Islam. So between those four, that makes up the majority of the religions. And they actually went out of their way to talk about like religious freedom in China and how it's a part of the Constitution. So I'm assuming that that's something that's been brought up on past tours, or that they need to say is that it's a part of their Constitution to guarantee religious freedom. The one thing that I found really interesting is that there is one exception. There's one particular part of their Constitution that dictates when you are not allowed to be a religious person. And that is if you are a member of the Communist Party. If you are trying to become like a government official, you are not allowed to have any religious ties. And I'm guessing that the reason for that is that they don't want the religious influence to affect your decision making. And they said if you are thinking about joining the Communist Party, you have to cut ties to your religion, and then vice versa. Like if you wanted to, if you had an interest in religion and you wanted to, become Buddhist or practice Buddhist teachings, that you would have to give up any dreams of becoming a part of like a high-ranking government official because you couldn't do that. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't have enough room to insert all of that earlier whenever we were at the temple, but that struck me as something very interesting that you probably wouldn't just learn on your own. So I wanted to share that. So for now, we're going to just relax. I'm going to drink more of this leopard water. And then we've got orientation at 5, which is, I don't know if that'll be on the vlog. It's just kind of getting to know the other people that are a part of the tour group. From what I understand, we're going to actually have the same tour guide for the entirety of the trip, which is really cool. He'll actually be joining us in the other cities. So we have to take flights domestically to Beijing and Xi'an and those places. So that's exciting. And then I guess we're going to have to do dinner at some point.
Yeah.
Not sure when. We'll figure that out and cross that road when we get there. So as it turns out, there was dinner after orientation, and it was served family style, which is apparently very typical in China. And God, there were so many things. I could not even begin to name them all. The food kept coming, and the clip that I showed of the Lazy Susan with everything spinning wasn't even everything, because eventually it stopped fitting, so they had to take stuff away to make room for new stuff. There was a ton of food. I actually felt kind of bad because by the end, there was still so much left. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
there was a lot left.
We left a ton, but the entire table, there was I don't know how many of us at the table, probably 8 or 10.
9.
Yeah. So the whole group is what, 25 people maybe?
Something like that.
About 25, which is about the size I think we had on the trip to Greece. And the purpose of the orientation is to learn some stuff about the upcoming trip, but then also to get a chance to know the other people on the trip. So we got a chance to talk to some of the folks at our table, obviously not at the other tables.
Yeah, and like Gate 1 is a global company, so people from all over go.
Yeah.
There was a couple who was originally from Russia but now live in Miami Beach.
Yep.
There was some other couples from other countries.
Yeah.
The Russian couple sat at our table, so we talked to them.
Yeah. It's interesting. One of the questions they ask is, how many Gate 1 tours have you been on already? So obviously there's going to be a few people that this is their first one. But
about
then
half, I'd say.
About half. Mark and Rhonda, this is like their 6th one.
6 or 7.
And then there was another couple that had been on 10 or more. So it's interesting. It gives you like some semblance of faith in the company if people are willing to come back to the company, 10 times. And this is only our 2nd time with them, but Mark and Rhonda have been with them like 6 times, and they really like them. So
far, this is good. Our tour manager guide is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everything that we're going to see. And I also learned a little bit about what we're doing tomorrow. But I'm really bad with the Chinese names, like really bad. So we're going to Shuzu.
Shozo?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's a tonal language. So we're doing that early in the morning. We're leaving here at 8. And then there's a part on a boat
Yeah.
for a time.
It's a canal city.
Okay, yeah, it's like the Venice of China.
Yeah.
And then we'll be seeing a garden of some sort. So I'm a little sketchy.
Lunch.
And there's lunch. So I'm a little sketchy on the details, but I'm looking forward to that. But that is bright and early, and the jet lag already hit me today. Yeah. We came back after lunch, and we took a small nap. And when I woke up from that half-hour nap, I had that
I don't want to get out.
That jet lag exhaustion where it's otherworldly, the level of tiredness you feel. But I had to force myself to get up because it was the orientation. So I'm really hoping that that's minimal. Hope my body can adjust to the new time as quickly as possible. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, let's meet back tomorrow.
And eat dumplings.
Shall we? I could honestly just eat dumplings for every meal.
I know, right?
Every
meal.
single meal.